ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. Today we're going to talk to Davis Hughes about what he wished someone would have told him before he started competition hunting, learn what he would change as far as rules go, and hear about his run-in with a coyote, and a whole lot more. Help me welcome Davis Hughes to the program. So Davis, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you, buddy?
Oh, I can't complain. Doing better than I deserve. Well, Davis, I'm so happy you're making history today. We're into season 2, kind of deep now, and you're our very first repeat guest ever. So, congratulations on that big distinction.
I appreciate it.
Well, Davis, for folks that maybe didn't hear you the first time you were on, could you just spend a couple minutes maybe introducing or reintroducing yourself to folks that are listening?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing this for, I think this is going on 2 years now, consistently anyways. I've been gun hunting my entire life. I think it was 2021 when I first started getting into these faster dogs. We ran medium speed dogs my entire childhood, and they were getting old, and I ran with Kristen Bundy, and she offered to sell me one, and I was like, well, I don't know, it might be a little fast for my dogs, but I got her anyways, and I was like, this is way more fun anyways. I believe we just need to switch over. So me and Dad talked about it. Next thing I know, I believe we have 11 counting puppies down on our lot now.
Okay. Well, that's a good size. That's a good number. So,
yeah, it's we've been blessed with some good friends and willing to help us out a little bit, you know.
Well, just to refresh folks' memory again that maybe haven't listened to the first one, but we set this podcast up about a year ago ish, maybe give or take a month. And you and I spent some time talking about what eventually I put a title on called Rabbit Hunting 101, What I Wish Someone Would Have Told Me. And we had a lot of fun just kind of talking a little bit about a lot of topics related to getting started in this game of rabbit hunting. And we talked about all kinds of fun stuff like how do you get started? Should I get a puppy or a started puppy or hound or a finished dog? How do I find places to hunt? What kinds of equipment am I going to need to start going down this road? And then we even went a little bit farther than that, talked about how much it would cost, which I think is always really interesting. And that's the kind of flavor we had on the first one. And so we talked, generally speaking, about what it takes to get started in rabbit hunting and the things we really wish someone would have told us, kind of that learning curve that everybody that does this goes through. But I think the interesting thing today is I want to kind of switch gears a little bit and focus on really addressing that same topic, which is I wish someone would have told me, but from a little different angle. Because, Davis, you jumped like head first into this competition thing, and you have a good year or so under your belt. And I really want to center on getting started in competition hunting. And really talking about what you've learned after a good season of competition hunting. So kind of the same topic, just a little different angle, focusing on competition rather than just regular old rabbit hunting. So what kind of my first question is, and it's a long one and there's a lot of parts to it, so I promise I can go back and repeat some of this if you need me to. But what have you learned with a complete trial season under your belt? And I'd really love for you to talk about the ups and downs, and those could be things like some of your biggest wins. I know you've done a good bit of winning, especially for being so young into this sport. And maybe along with those biggest wins, some of those toughest losses. And maybe some of those proud moments. And it might not really be a win when you were proud. I've had folks share with me before that their hounds perform really well. Even in a loss, they're really proud of them. Crazy things that maybe you've seen while out on a cast. I think some folks would be shocked at some of the things that we see while we're out there in nature. And really, anything else you want to share about your competition experiences over the past year or so? I know that was a lot, so I'm happy to repeat some of that if I need to.
Yeah. Let's see. Some things that I learned on the competition side. I think probably the biggest lesson I've learned in the last year is kind of two parts, I guess. But you can't let your feelings get involved because you're not going to win them all. Like, we've talked about it on cast before.
Oh yeah.
You're only gonna, there's four people out there. It can't be but one winner. So you can't let your feelings get hurt. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. And it's not even necessarily your feelings. You just you're proud of your dog and they didn't win. But if you're proud of your dog after the cast, I mean that it's not a win, but you just kind of got a total loss every once in a while, even if you felt like your dog was better.
Mm-hmm.
I would say trying to take some of the emotion out of it in terms of basing it off of winning and losing.
Mm-hmm.
Last year when we talked at this time, I had a lot of really good luck. And probably about the time that we talked last year, it was like my luck just shut off. And I don't know if I won, but like one cast. I think I won one or two casts between May, June, July, and August. I think I started having a little bit more luck towards the end of August. But for 3 months there, I think I won like two casts. And I was going, pretty regular.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd say that's probably the biggest takeaway I've had in terms of from a handler standpoint. What were some of the other questions you would ask? I'm sorry. The wildest thing I seen on a cast. Last year in May, I think it was one of the only wins that I got the whole month. It's definitely the wildest ending to a cast I've seen, and thankfully I got lucky. I was down. I don't know how much I was down. I was down quite a bit because I had already marked it off as I was about to take a loss. And the rabbit came out with probably 10 seconds left, and my dog scored with like 3 seconds left, and was the only dog to score. So that was pretty wild. That was exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was like a good finish to like a NASCAR race, when they have those,
yeah.
Where you got to review it. It was one of those.
Well, let me ask you this: I know you won in some pretty big hunts, and you competed like at the World and stuff, so you had to get qualified, and those hunts are probably a little tougher than maybe some of the local hunts to compete and win in. So did you have any wins that stuck out to you as being what you'd consider a big win that you felt extra proud about, or any proud moments that you'd like to share?
Yeah, there's been a few big moments. The most recent one was was actually at the home club in Randolph County. The Memorial Hunt in April. It just so happened Dustin Todd was handling Indy the day before. She got a win. I lost both rounds, and Kristen was like, "Hey, do you mind handling Indy for me? I'm running Cooper, and he's already got a win." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it for sure." And I ended up going out there and winning both my rounds, and then went to the Final Four and ended up winning the whole hunt with Indy. So that was wild. I've been in a couple Final Fours previous to that, but I had never actually won any of them. And that dog dominated all day. And I really, really enjoyed that entire hunt. Really.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, another big one.
Mm-hmm.
I did go to the World. I struck out the first 2 rounds, so I watched a lot that weekend. But that was a good time. It was a good experience, and we learned a lot just by watching about the rules and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I went to McVeigh. I lost 5 straight at McVeigh. Found out my dog was not groundhog broke. So that was fun. Best friend was judging and had to scratch me for running the groundhog. So that was a nice car ride home. Let's see. I haven't had any win. Actually, I wasn't handler. Fancy did win at Nationals last year. Not this actual year, but a year ago. But that's the only Big 5 win I've technically had.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me, like, even though I did win that hunt with Indy, I would definitely say the biggest wins in my mind. I beat Jeff for the first time, Jeff Stacy. He was handling Reba, which is like one of the toughest dogs out there, with one of the toughest handlers out there. I actually ended up winning a cast against him after probably losing 7 or something like that earlier that year to win. So that felt like the Super Bowl. And then actually this year I beat Kristen and Cooper, which was also felt like the Super Bowl. I've lost to Kristen and Cooper and Jeff and Reba like an insane number of times. So it was that was pretty cool. Those wins meant a lot to me, at least mentally. It wasn't that much, in terms of monetary or even like in the record book, but it meant a lot to me. So.
Well, I tell you, buddy, it's a proud moment when you can compete against some of the best folks in the region and the best hounds in the region and walk away with a win. That says a lot about you and what you're hunting too, because just by experience, what little I've had hunting against Jeff and Kristen, you better believe their dog's going to be ready.
Yeah, they tough. Boy.
They're not an easy out. They really are not. And
No,
and when you can get a win against them, especially when you're in a little bit of a drought, and it's easy to get discouraged when you hadn't won one in a couple of months. It sure is. So to win like that, I believe that would be kind of extra special to you. I can totally understand why.
Yeah, but that was, like I said, that was, both of those really, I won't ever forget either one of those. So.
Wow, it's interesting because I hunted with Indy. She's just a little bitty old thing, and she was just extremely impressive. And then she kind of got quiet for a while, and then now it seems like she's back in the limelight again. And that is one tough little dog.
You ain't lying.
She really is.
She's gritty, boy.
I hunted against her. I think it was the North Carolina State hunt maybe earlier in the year, and I think that was the hunt it was in. But she just really did a super nice job. I think she won her cast that afternoon. It's just hot and tough, and it was not a lot going on. And she just is a grubby little thing and just get in there and really quick, very quick little hound. But yeah, she's impressive too. I think she's really impressive actually to me. But you mentioned one time, one of the topics is kind of the craziest things that you've maybe ever seen while you're out hunting. And I know you have a coyote story somewhere.
Yes, so that was actually earlier today. Although it wasn't on an actual cast. Me and Dad and Kristen decided we were going to turn out this morning, and we got out there, and it's been hot. There's babies everywhere right now, so it's kind of tough to run. And they're in there, and they're doing a little bit more than pecking away. They're moving a little bit, and it just it didn't sound right. Cooper wouldn't strike in, which is fairly odd. All of a sudden, I hear Kristen yelling, and I looked up in the field, and I thought maybe a deer was going to cross there because I had my puppies in there. I'm not 100% sure that their deer broke. And I looked over, and a coyote and a dog were tangled up with each other, fighting. And we started hollering and stuff, so the coyote went on, and nobody got hurt or nothing, which was, extremely thankful for that. But, yeah, that was wild. I've never, I don't know, I guess they ran the coyote. I'm not exactly sure. But I know they were tangled up with him when they come out in the field, and I've never seen a coyote actually tangle up with a beagle before. I've heard them barking and howling at them, but I've never actually seen one come out in the field and lay eyes on them fighting. So that was kind of scary, but it was wild and kind of a cool experience. Also kind of scary one, but
I have to believe that your little beagles must be pretty gritty to take on a coyote.
I'm pretty sure it was actually Sully, the pup out of Wild Man and Wine. He went right back to hunting after 5-10 minutes getting back. It didn't really bother him too bad. It didn't look like so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it didn't mess him up too bad, anyways, because that's always something you get nervous about. They do something like that, maybe they don't. They shy away from hunting for a little bit or something, but it didn't bother him. He went right back in the woods. So.
Wow, that's a good sign. Well, now you've done this for a year or so, and you've hunted on all different levels, from just little weekend, one-day club hunts to state hunts to the Big Five mentioned earlier to the World Hunt, and you've hunted in a lot of different states. I know you've traveled all over going to these hunts, and you've seen a lot of things. and you've experienced a lot of things. Different formats of hunts. Sometimes you hunt in your class. Sometimes they throw you all in together. It's just you might have a registered dog, but you're hunting against a grand. I mean, there's all kinds of different formats for different events out there and different rules. I know that you've shared with me that you've recently been handed the scorecard a time or two. So I know you've got a good grasp on the rules right now. So have you seen anything out there that you would change about the way we hunt, about the formats we have, or even rules? I think it'd be neat to hear your perspective on, are there any rules out there that you don't like, or you like them okay, but you'd change them a little bit? You might modify the rule, or a rule you just would like to see ripped out completely altogether, or a new rule that you would propose that we need.
Yeah, so in general, I like the rules pretty good. I don't really have a problem with anything at the moment. The only thing I'd really like to see changed, like I wish they would just like go ahead and implement it right now, is I'd like to be able to put a TT15 or a something where I can shock and train and track,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to a T5, because at the moment, with the T5 you can't shock, you can't tone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not even necessarily. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely an art to getting your dog to handle correctly, and it definitely shows. When somebody has put in the work with their dog when they start calling and the dog's coming.
Sure.
Assuming that they're broke down. If they're running, then it is what it is. But just for the safety of the dogs, man, sometimes we hunting by roads and stuff, and there's more and more land getting taken away. So, roads are becoming more and more of a factor, and it'd be nice, if they're going towards the road, for the judge to be able to turn around and be like, hey, guys, let's tone our dogs, get them back, and we'll walk them back in here further.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just for the speed of it, man. I mean, you give people 30 minutes to catch their dog. And don't get me wrong, it's taken, I've taken a 25, 28-minute time before, a few times actually now. But, just like you could get cast in and out a lot faster if you had a tone button. Not to mention how much more comfortable I'd be with running a puppy, like my 1-year-old that I've been running some. I'd be a lot more comfortable with that shot collar on there in case, if he were to bump a deer. I don't know that he'd run it or not, but if he did, I'd go ahead and break him while I'm on that cast, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
That's right. Okay.
But aside from that, I really don't see. I'm sure there are some here and there that could be tweaked, but in terms of just major changes, that would be the major change I would want to make. And I wouldn't want to do it like, I think somebody told me maybe it could be like NKC or ARHA or another format completely, where the judge keeps your hand held. I wouldn't want that. Like, I want to just, if you're going to do it, just let us have them,
Mm-hmm. I think that's really neat because I'm kind of the same way. I know this is a hot topic. We could probably do a whole show on just this. It's a bit of a controversy, I think. I don't really know why. I'm a big pro. Let you hunt in a trial the same way you hunt when you're pleasure hunting. I think
I get I do understand the other side of it, and the other side of it is, it is, it's definitely part of having dogs is they have to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times people are making them listen with a tone button. Hey, there's one thing that I've learned in terms of training dogs is that sometimes it's best not to hit that tone button and just go ahead and bump them or shock them when they're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get out there on a cast, you've got a T5. There is no tone button, so they better know, like, when they hear your voice, hey, come on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I certainly know there's a fear from some people that folks will use this to their advantage to sneak and bump their dogs and help them as they try to win a cast. I'm not fearful of that at all, and maybe I should be. Maybe that's just my own ignorance. But I'd go back to what is the format designed to do? And if you're designed to mimic a pleasure hunt while you're out there running rabbits during the season, well, guess what? What kind of collar are you going to run? You're going to run that one collar that can do it all.
That's right.
And so if that's the whole point, then just do it. But I think the biggest reason is just the safety reasons. I think you nailed it. How many times have we been out on these hunts and get close to the road how many times the dogs didn't see the posted sign, they went on a property next door, and you end up getting in trouble in a hurry, and it's just it can get dangerous very quickly. And if you can save a good hound, I'm all about taking a risk of somebody cheating once in a while. Hopefully they get busted when they do it. But I'd rather, it's more important to me to save those hounds
Well, my other
than to
thing
worry about
about
the
it is,
cheating.
what do your dogs do when you shock them, Sam? They
They're
come back,
they're
right?
gonna come right to my feet. Is where they're gonna come.
Right. So, I mean, what are you going to do? Shock your dog off a rabbit? I mean, they just wouldn't be very smart, in my opinion. I don't think that's a good way to go about it. I'm sure somebody's going to do it, and try to teach their dog to bark on a tone. But you're going to screw yourself more than you're
Yeah,
helping yourself when you start doing stuff like that.
yeah. I agree. That's a very good one. Like I said, maybe we should come back and lay out a full episode on nothing but this, panel it up or something, bring in folks from both sides because I think it is an interesting topic to cover, and it's timely. I know every couple years maybe they vote on this, and it gets closer and closer to being passed and being allowed. Maybe this is the year. I don't know,
I
but
believe it'll be passed. It's not this year. I don't think they're voting this year. I think it's
okay,
next year, and then it'll be the following year for it to come in. So,
yeah. I think the safety concerns outweigh the concerns about cheating. From most people I've talked to.
absolutely.
That's the feeling I get. So I think you fit right in with the majority of hunters out there. I appreciate that. That's very insightful. So now I'm again kind of prefacing this next question with the same thing. You've been all over. You've hunted on a lot of different levels. You've hunted in a lot of different states. You've hunted certainly in the southeast, which I think is a really tough region for a lot of reasons. And you've hunted outside. You've hunted up north. You've hunted in kind of Midwest and so on. What are some of the best hounds you've competed against that you've seen go that you're like, wow, that Joker's a nice hound. That really caught my eye.
Well, I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but Cooper, obviously, just Deep River Bag Company on the papers,
Mm-hmm.
and then Jeff's dog Reba, another one that when you draw it, you just kind of like, yep, it's gonna be a tough cast to win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one that's been beat. He has beat the wheels off of me this year, and that's Rock Bottom's Big Mac, Alan Newby's dog.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know how many times I lost this year to Big Mac, but it's he's got the majority right now. I've drawn him a lot, and I don't think I've won but like one. So that's he's up there. Let's see what's some other dogs that I ran with that I really liked. Ronnie Brown's GG dog.
Mm-hmm.
I really like her. Up north, I ran against a dog named Pedro. I can't remember the whole name. I just remember his name was Pedro.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say the handler and the owner was Rick Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's right. Chad Smith is his son, I believe. And Chad's dog was really good too. I ran against it at the World. Ran against Rick in Pennsylvania last year. I was very impressed by how well both of those dogs did. I don't know, man. I've ran against a lot of really solid hounds, and I ran against a lot that I was like, no, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, there's always that. There's a different style for everybody, right?
I tell you one that's been doing really good lately that I really like. And it's Coy's dog. Dean handles it most of the time. Coy Jarrett's dog, Dean Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Hoss.
Yeah.
That's out of Fret. I really enjoyed hunting against him some this year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't draw him at all last year, but I drew him a few times this year. I really enjoyed hunting against that dog. So we'll see what happens with old Hoss. I think he's pretty solid though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't remember which. I just get confused sometimes and can't remember the names of some of the hounds. But on a cast, and I think it was at the state hunt, and there were some big time dogs and handlers on that cast, and Kristen was on there with I think Cooper and goodness I can't remember, but I think Dean had I think Dean won my cast that day and beat us all with I think it was Hoss.
Hoss is a really nice hound. I really enjoy hunting with him. He's got a lot of foot.
Yeah, that's that. You're right.
He's solid.
I think that dog could be kind of an up and comer down in this region. I think people will probably start learning more about him. But
I
yeah,
wish I
that's a
knew
good
more
one.
of the northern dogs, but you know, I don't I don't go up there a whole lot. I've been up there some, um, but the two that stuck out from me up there was Rick Smith and Chad Smith's dogs. I believe that both of them I really put on the show when I was with them. So
Hmm.
there's one more dog I ran with that I just cannot think of the name of it.
Do you remember whose it was?
I don't.
Okay.
It was somebody that I hadn't met before until the cast,
Hmm.
and I can't remember if it was McVeigh or the World, but I remember I really liked the dog.
Hmm. Well, shoot, buddy, I don't get out much anyway, but I did go up and hunt at the East Eliminator earlier in the year, and on the final cast that I was on, I would have taken any of those hounds home with me. It was Owen Dagestein had his Breeze dog, and Jacob Coons had his Bear dog, and then the dog ended up winning it all. Derek Bowen had the Spot dog. And shoot, I'd love to take any of those home. They just all look super good, and it was tough, man. Ice on the ground, wind howling, below zero, and they just, you could tell they were all on a mission to find rabbits, and they did. And they did a super dog. But I never hunted with Jacob Coons before, and I don't know much about him, and love to have him on here sometime. But he had that cross country bear, or what was his name? Yogi Bear. But that bear dog's for real. I really liked him, and I got to hunt with him twice. Just kind of how the cast pulled out over the course of the weekend. But I found him to be a really impressive dog. But yeah, there's some good dogs out there, man. I'm like you. I don't know nearly as many as I wish I did from outside the region. Certainly more familiar with what's around here, but there's some awfully good dogs scattered all over the country. So, all right. So now that you've had this year under your belt or so, I think it's more than a year now, but you recently finished one of those dogs you were working on. I think it's Fancy. She's a grand now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
And
sir.
so
She is. I got the papers of the day.
she's one of my favorite hounds that I hunt with around here. I enjoyed drawing her. She's a good dog. But when you kind of grand one like that, some people still hunt those dogs a lot. Others kind of reload and start focusing on that next generation, that puppy that's ready to go to the hunts. And so it surprised me, and it didn't surprise me when I saw on the interweb the other week that you had taken a dog I'd never heard of, a young pup, and won both your cast one day up in the mountains. Tell us a little bit about that pup.
So on papers, it'll be Jackson Creek Soul Survivor. I'm gonna call him Sully for short, just because I'm not gonna go through the woods yelling that whole name. It'd sound about crazy, wouldn't it? He's not even a year old yet, actually. I think he's 11 months. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's young. And I was a little, on the fence about putting one in that young. Might catch a bad habit. I don't want that to happen. Might run some off game. Obviously don't want that to happen. So I was kind of on the fence about it. Kristen and Jeff kind of talked me into it. So I did it. And I'm thankful I did now. He really showed me that he'll run with anything that I want to put him with. So we slid by though. It wasn't real high scoring. I think the first cast was 125. The second one was like 165, and I won on a tiebreaker in the second cast. So I tied with Christy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was out there with some pretty good dogs, for sure. So he impressed me.
Outstanding. Well, what do you like about him?
Well, the first thing, he's a red dog.
Oh yeah.
I got to talk my smack about the blue ticks.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I did handle one, win with one, and I love those dogs, but if it's a blue tick, I'm a little funny about it, anyways. But he's red and white. He's got some nose. I like to have a little bit of nose. I don't like him to get real mouthy, but I like a big nose with a tight mouth, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Where he has the ability to trail up and just keep his mouth shut. He's really good about the trailing part, but keeping his mouth shut. Just it depends on the day. He did really, really good up there in Creston, though, so I was extremely proud of him. He didn't, go barking or nothing real bad or anything. He did take a minus that morning, but we still managed to pull it off. So let's see. He got some foot. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's the fastest thing that I've ever ran with, but he's only 11 months old, so I'm thinking that'll probably improve a little bit. But, yeah, he's pretty solid all the way around to be his age. And I think that's kind of like my thing. You get these dogs that are extremely footy, but they lack hunt. Or they're really slow, but they hunt well. Or, they got too much mouth or not enough mouth. I want something that, maybe I don't dominate the foot, but I can, out-hunt you. I can, outstrike you maybe. That's kind of the way I look at it. I want something that's built all the way around. And we touched on it the last time we talked, but everything in my kennel has been shot over except for the two, extremely young pups. So, if I can't take you in the woods in January and February and kill rabbits with you, I really don't have a whole lot of use for you.
Well, you mentioned something that kind of jumps out at me, that Sully's 11 months old. So how some people would be like, "What in the world is he doing hunting a puppy in these trials?" What's the right age to start one in a trial?
Oh boy, 11 months maybe. I'm not the best on. I've gotten my experience now on a lot. But the puppy thing, he's the first one that we've raised here at the house. And I got a chance to. That's not his litter mate. That's a completely different cross and litter. But they're about the same age, and those are the first two I've really I had one way before they got started, and then took them to the pen and got them started, and had to work with them when they got out of the pen. So I'm probably not the best person to ask that to. But I'm gonna say, whenever you can take it out there with, let's just say, one or two other dogs that you may have that have done fairly decent in competition, and it can go out there and at least compete with them. And when I say compete, I mean legitimately contribute, not be coming in and out, not, be all messing around in the field while the other ones are hunting. When it's legitimately competing with your other dogs, I would say you could, try it. I think you'll know fairly quickly too. I think if he would have went out there and he'd have got influenced by the other dogs really easily, I'd have been like, okay, dude, you're not ready yet. We're going to put you back up for another, 4 months or so and see what you do then. But he didn't, so I'm going to, stick with him.
Well, I think that's a good way to look at it. I kind of look at it, in addition to that, those are all very good points, I kind of look at it in a backwards way. Not only can they hold their own against some dogs that are a good measuring stick, but do you trust them? Do you trust them not to do stupid things if they're in a cast with other young dogs that do stupid things or go running
right,
off
yeah.
game?
Is your dog going to be monkey see, monkey do, or is it going to, be able to, toe-to-tone and not really worry about what the other dogs are doing, just kind of, stick to what he's supposed to be doing?
Yeah, and it's so complex. It's complicated when you're trying to figure out these dog things. I think if it was easy, anybody could do it. But there's something to be said for they're all different. Every one of these little dogs is different, and they all started differently, and there's no cookie cutter way to train them all. They're all, well, I guess you could, but I think to get the most out of them, you kind of have to customize whatever your training plan is to suit the dog.
And absolutely, and that's where especially if somebody is kind of new into this or getting into it, or maybe even you've been in it for a little bit, you need to find somebody that knows what they're doing. For me, that was Jeff or Kristen. Of course, Jeff, he's been doing it for 20 years, man, so he's really got it down. Kristen's been doing it for a really long time too, so she's got it down too. But both of them were I asked them in the truck ride home from a hunt in Hillsville. And both of them were like, yeah, I mean, try it, just see what happens. And I was like, y'all sure? They were like, yeah, do it. And so I was like, all right. So we went for it, and it turned out. But, like I said, I think or like you said, rather, it's really dog to dog. I mean, I don't know that the next two I have coming up, I don't know that I'll feel as comfortable with them at this age as I do him. And I've really ran him a lot in the last, 4 months. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that brings me kind of to a wrap-up type question. Do you have any advice to folks that are considering uh, maybe putting their toes in this competition world, either hunting or showing? I know we didn't talk about showing very much, but just competition world. Do you have any advice to them as we kind of wrap up on? I wish someone would have told me before I started competition hunting.
Before I hit on that one, let me hit on the showing real quick.
Okay.
Because it's not gonna take me very long. I'm awful at it. I don't show. My friends show them for me because I am horrible. I look at it. If I'm the one standing it, I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, it looks good. And then I'll see the picture later on Facebook and I'm like, oh boy. So yeah, I'm not the person for that. I have gotten a lot better at it, but you can kind of, if you'll just kind of watch other people do it, you'll kind of get a little bit of idea for what the dog's supposed to look like on the bench. But as far as stuff that I would say you need to know before you go start competition hunting. Like I said earlier, do not get your feelings hurt. It's not personal. You can't control the dog. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, just, don't get real emotional about it. Like, it is what it is. You're not going to win every time. Even if you have the best dog, you're still not going to win every time. It's just how the game is. Obviously, I think everybody else on this podcast has probably said this, but know the rules. Because if you go out there and you're on a cast, most everybody out there is going to be helpful and want to help you and want to see you win. But there are a select few that may try to, take advantage of you. And it might not even be intentional. It might just be an accident. But if you know the rules, you can put an end to that pretty quickly most of the time. And that is one thing that I do like about our format at the moment is, you can take a vote on the cast. And if you're not happy with the way the vote turned out, you can put a question on the scorecard and take it back to a panel. Yeah, I mean, that would probably be the two main things. Go out there with a good attitude. Go out there not necessarily looking to win, but going out there to, make new friends. Go out there to, experience, a little bit different style of running probably than what you're used to. You're talking about 4 dogs that don't know each other whatsoever. A lot of times it's different.
Oh, yeah. I love what kind of feedback you've got here because it's true. It kind of tickles me to hear you talk about Fancy, and I know what kind of dog she is, and she's a grand now. But how you went on a dry spell with her, and it seems like you couldn't get a win to save yourself.
No, I could not catch a break. I mean, I could be winning cast, and she would suck a minus. Here we go again. I already knew what was coming.
I mean, she's a.
But you know what? To be honest with you, initially when it first started happening, and I'm still, I'm competitive. Like, I'm not telling people don't be competitive. Be competitive, but have fun being competitive. Don't. I mean, this isn't the world's finals cast. Have fun. But there was a time period there, I guess the game was teaching me to lose a little bit better. But I would come in and, I wouldn't be just like upset or mad or anything most of the time, but I would just be like, just kind of aggravated, man. Because how many casts have I ran now in a row and have not gotten a single win, not even a nibble at a win. But, that changed in, I guess it was September. I started having a little bit more luck again, but yeah, it was a good spell there.
But David, it tickles me to hear you talk about that because we've all been through those slumps and dry spells. But here you have a super nice hound. It's a journey to get there to finish to a grand. You got a nice hound if you got a grand. I mean, you really do. But you struggle with her, and then you bring this pup out at 11 months old and he wins back-to-back cast on the same weekend at the same hunt. And so you're just kind of scratching yourself like, how did I do that when I'm packing this super nice hound out here and I can't win for a
Yeah,
stretch of four
actually,
or
lately
five
has not been
months.
me and Fancy have not been. We ain't been. I'm not saying we ain't been clicking, but we just. I haven't lately. Me and her haven't won a whole lot. And then I went out there with her. It's actually the same cross, just a different litter.
Mm-hmm.
Went out there with her brother and won 2 casts, and I was like, man, that's something right there.
I
But
love it. I love it. But I love your advice, and I just really, it sounds like terrible advice to give somebody to tell them they need to be a good loser, but they really do. You got to learn. You don't have to like it, of course, but you've got to learn to lose and lose well. Just
absolutely, one of the jokes in our crowd is, Josie Holmes runs with us a lot,
mm-hmm.
and Josie always, she's got really good dogs, and but Josie's attitude is always, always. I've never seen her on a cast get like flustered or upset. Like me and her lost to Cooper, and I forgot who the fourth on the cast was. Well, me and her lost to Cooper by like 300, and I'm over there, I'm aggravated and ill. And she's over there grinning and smiling and just having a good time. And I was like, I want to be like that. So bad, but I'm competitive. I can't help but get a little bit aggravated. But yeah, Josie has got like the attitude that I wish we all had at times.
Hey, buddy, there's nothing wrong with being competitive. There's nothing wrong with wanting to win. Why in the world else would you go out there
And
and do this?
she is. That's the thing about it. She is competitive and she does want to
She
win.
does.
But she'll never ever, unless something like really bad happens. I guess she would get kind of mad, but
Mm-hmm.
she's always smiling and happy on cast when I've been with her. So
I think we've got a lot to learn from her. That's being a good sportsman in wins and in losses, and you know as well as I do, the best dog doesn't always win. There's times when there's few rabbits. You might only run one rabbit on your cast, and it's decided by which dog jumped it. And the dogs are, you've got some to the left 150, 200 yards, some to the right 152. It's just kind of the luck of who runs across a rabbit first. And so so you have to, over time, you figure those things out and you learn to maybe take yourself a little less seriously and try to have as good a time and appreciate the good hounds you're with too, because most of these hounds are pretty good. But yeah, that's fantastic advice. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Well, as we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Anything I didn't ask you about that I should have? Or
no, I think that touches on everything. Everything that I had in mind. Anyways, I would like to hear your opinion on the puppy question about what age. I know you've been doing this longer than I have for sure. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I spent a lot of time in coon hunting with red bones in particular, and I really enjoyed fooling around with puppies, and so I've probably spent more time with the coonhounds than I have the raising of the beagles. But I don't know. I'm getting close to 10 years myself with these beagles now. It's hard to believe. But the thing that I can see, it doesn't matter what kind of dog you're training or whether it's a bird dog, a squirrel dog, coon dog, rabbit dog, they're going to tell you when they're ready. And I've been guilty of this myself, being so fired up, and you have this young prospect that is showing so much promise. They're just a natural. I mean, I go back, I had this one puppy, a red bone puppy, that was treeing coon hides. I mean, legitimate drags, not looking at them, dragging them and hiding them and putting them up a tree at 3 months old. That's just not really heard of for especially a red bone. And he was a legit dog by 9 months old, 10 months old. I'm talking run trees on coon. And when you have something that powerful, that strong at such an early age, it is so hard to not throw them out there in these hunts with every Tom, Dick, and Harry dog. It's, the worst thing I could do with a young hound like that is throw him in a hunt and taking a coonhound world, taking a chance on him getting eat up at the tree with an ill dog or dog that's going to run everything in the woods and be trashy or pick up those bad habits that they can pick up out there. And so same thing with these rabbit dogs. There's nothing more aggravating than taking your really good young prospect who you think is pretty much broke off deer, and you take them out there and it's kind of a slow day. You've been hunting 20, 30 minutes, nothing's going on, and then there's a deer race, and guess what? Your dog jumps in there too. and you're kind of like, oh shoot, that's something I've got to fix when I go back home.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
absolutely.
they just there's a lot of bad habits that they can pick up at these hunts. And so to me, it's more of an individual dog thing where when you reach that point where that youngster, you trust them, you feel comfortable that a lot of that foolishness that a puppy has, when that foolishness is gone, I think is when they're ready, and or close to it. Sometimes it's really hard to hold all the way to the end till they're really fully mature. But to
Right,
me,
and my thought on it had been like if I had to put a number on it, I was gonna actually say like 2, like because Dad had asked me, and I was like 2. Like I was like I'm probably gonna run them next year in trials, and then like the next week I ended up taking him, and he was like, "You sure about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure."
yeah, I'm with you. For me, and I don't hunt nearly as hard as a lot of the competition guys do. A 2 years with me is probably like 6 months with Kristen or Jeff. That hunt every day and hunt really hard. Those young dogs are going to get a lot more miles on them. Than their 2-year-old dog is going to have a lot more miles than my 2-year-old dog is going to have, so to speak. And so there's that to take in consideration too, the person hunting them and handling them. So yeah, I think at 2 years old a dog is really they're doing what they're going to do for the most part. They kind of are what they are. But that 1 to 2 year range, I've seen a lot of dogs either progress and become really nice dogs that started out as a good prospect, and then I've seen some blow up and you just realize that maybe the handler or person should have held them back just a little longer and let them mature before they put them in there with all the craziness that goes on in these trials. So I don't think I answered your question at all, other than to say it really depends on the
I
dog.
think you said mostly what we had talked about earlier was just you just kind of got to get a feel for the individual dog, which I figured that's what you were going to say, but I wanted to see if you would put a actual number on it.
Yeah, it's hard, but to get rid of that puppiness, that foolishness that comes with it, and being able to really trust your dog is tough for me. Most of the time with these beagles that I've had so far, and the bloodlines that they've come out of, most of them are ready to roll. I mean, they're hunting really well. That's the same stuff you're hunting. They're usually pretty good little old dogs by a year old, but that doesn't mean I feel like they probably need to be in a hunt until they're probably 1.5 to 2, if you have the time and patience to wait.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe answer. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I really, and on this one in particular, I didn't really have plans to do it, but me and Fancy weren't clicking, and I wanted to run something else, and everybody else felt like he was ready besides me. So,
well, it sounds like it was
like,
a good choice for you. Yeah, it worked out. It sure did. So
yes,
he's almost halfway to being a champion dog. You just got to get somebody to handle him on the bench for you.
Well, he's got a snub tail, so he had a bent tail when he was born. So I had to cut the tail off. So I don't know how that affects the bench score. But if I find out that I can win with that snub tail, then yeah, someone else will have to show him.
Do it. All right. Well, Davis, I really enjoyed catching back up with you again. It sounds like you've been super busy this past year. Sounds like you've been very successful this past year and have learned a lot. And we didn't hit on this much, but you've certainly learned the rules and have earned the respect of folks at these clubs to the point where they're willing to give you the scorecard now. So congratulations on kind of cutting your teeth on becoming a judge. That's a big deal. I think it's an honor to be asked to judge these casts. So congratulations on that, and congratulations on getting that first grand, the dog champion to the grand level. That's a big deal too. So I look forward to seeing you in the future at hunts. I know it seems like we draw out together about every time I go to a hunt now, which I really enjoy. Maybe you'll be carrying the card next time. That'll be fun.
Let's hope not.
I'll definitely be trying to question you.
I can do it, but it's not I don't enjoy judging. It's okay though. And the more I've done it, the more, obviously I've gotten more comfortable. I'm pretty cool with it now.
That's the best. That's the
you
best
wanted
thing.
the best to do it, Sam. So I'm gonna be telling them, listen, now you need to give Sam a scorecard.
I promise I won't be. I won't cut up too much.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, buddy. Well, it's again a pleasure to talk to you. I look forward to seeing you at upcoming hunts, and maybe another year from now you'll be my first 3-time guest. We'll see.
Yes, sir. Sounds good to me, buddy. I
All right,
appreciate it.
all right. You take care.
You too, buddy.
Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough, and remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when we have new content available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.